Hello and welcome to the June wrap-up, where I read 21 books, mostly from the library. And I DNF'd one, which is unusual. I usually don't talk about my DNFs. I only had a few this year. I want to say I've had 7, which is a huge improvement because I'm not a big DNFer. Crazy. So that's cool for me, but I will talk about it briefly just because I read 51% and then I kind of skipped to the end to see like what would happen. And then I read a whole bunch of reviews so that I would, know what I was missing just in case. But other than that, we'll talk about the books that I read. Most of these, like I said, were library books. A lot of graphic novels. I kind of had a moment, especially with NetGalley. I requested a lot of NetGalley graphic novels. I had a great time. Can't wait to talk about it. And then also the Fallen books. I finished that series. If you're interested, I feel like I've talked about it so much on the channel that I'm not going to really get into it, but if you're interested in my thoughts, I read the entire Fallen series and had a great time. So I have a whole reading vlog for that. I think that's all the house cleaning. Like I said, 21 books, pretty good. Is that? No. It is! It is my best reading month so far. And by best, I mean the most I've read, which only beats April by 1 book. I think, why are we focusing on not me? That was so weird. What was I gonna say? Oh, I do think July is going to be like overall the biggest reading month that I'm gonna have probably for the entire year. And then we'll probably dip back down and be cool again. But also, July is going by too fast and I'm kind of not cool with it. I didn't approve of the speeding of the summer, but also I'm kind of excited for summer to be over. So like it's, a mixed bag. Anywho, I'm trying to try not to ramble off topic too much in this video and just kind of tell you my thoughts on the books that I had read because I've been in a very rambly mood lately. First book that I DNF'd was Greedy. This is by Kali Kazumi. I don't think this is like the worst book ever. I don't think it's like super bad. I didn't do anything objectively bad. I just did not care. You have a female narrator, but we're following a male main character, our MMC, if you will. I'm getting so distracted. Oh my god. Sam, focus. We have to get through this. Basically, he's down on his luck. He's got a gambling problem and a newborn baby that he's not like super interested. His wife, taking on the tolls of a newborn has not been as interested in him and they're just kind of having some issues. And he gets an opportunity to be the private chef for this really rich woman who has quite the presence, the reputation of just like being filthy rich, but like also into interesting stuff. She basically gets him out of his debt and helps him with that. And a lot of strings are attached and the lengths that he is asked to go to for them. I guess it's not really a spoiler. It's a horror novel with cannibalism, which is normally something that I'm quite into, but I've been lately, and by lately, I mean like over this summer and last summer, I've picked up cannibal books and I haven't liked them. So I don't know if it's like me and I'm over it and I'm not interested in that subgenre anymore and that exploration, or if they're just not as good. I don't know. I can't tell you. The other one I'm thinking of is the one by Lucy Rose, The Lamb. I didn't like that one either. So I don't know if it's a me thing or a general thing. I will probably keep picking up cannibalism books because I do think they're interesting. I think they can be well done. But yeah, for some reason, this one did not hit. I did skip around to the end. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but I didn't think that it was really like, it was an interesting enough payoff, but I didn't think it was that worth it. And it just was too slow of a buildup. I didn't really care for the characters at all. Like nothing about it was like, ooh, this is so interesting and shocking. It just was like nothing for 50% of the book. And I understand that I stopped before things like really popped off and got interesting, but like at that point, I didn't think it was really worth it. I thought the ending was like meh from what I had read from reviews. So take that how you will. The first official book that I had read all the way through and finished was Broken Dove. Broken Dove by Danny Francis is the sequel to Silver Elite. I am not a fan of Silver Elite. I know a lot of people are. I'm not trying to yuck your yum. I objectively don't think it was well written. I think that we have a lot of issues with romantasy in general, just kind of lacking some depth at times. And when you slap the dystopian label on it, I kind of have a hard time shutting my brain off and going, hee hee, fun time, because there's supposed to be romance in it. Like, I'm expecting a little bit more commentary and a little bit more depth than just like a surface level, like power bad, classism bad, racism bad. Like, I want a little bit more if you're gonna call yourself dystopian. I'm cool with there being romance in my dystopian books. I just want dystopian to be on the same level of horror, where like you're really getting commentary on stuff, and it doesn't have to be in my face. It can be subtle. I just want a little bit more from the general dystopian romantasy, okay? So I did pick up Broken Dove, and it is a little bit like copy paste of Silver Elite. Like, still in his school, but it's like a different type of militant because now she's on the rebellion side. There is telepathy with Cross, and in general, like, cool, but he was kind of like a nothing burger of a character. We get a love triangle in this one, which I did think was interesting, and I did enjoy the new love interest a little bit more. I liked certain aspects of it, but again, it felt very like copy paste. I didn't feel like it brought anything new to the conversation. I didn't really care. The ending did kind of pop off. I saw a lot of people get really upset about it in like a I can't believe this is the cliffhanger type of way. I wasn't that bothered by it. It wasn't that shocking to me. I was just like, yeah, that tracks, that makes sense, like, for what this story is trying to be. But yeah, I just kind of walked away being like, it's fine. It's not bad. It's not the best thing ever. I just felt kind of meh towards it. And it seems like a lot of reviews for this also feel so-so. A lot of fans of Silver Elite did not like Broken Dove nearly as much, and I'm wondering if it's because of the love triangle, but they all really enjoyed how the ending like popped off with the cliffhanger. So I don't know. I will probably pick up the next book. I did not hate it enough to like dismiss it. I think that also with the buzz around Silver Elite, it was one of those things that I want to get in on and know what people are talking about. I want to be involved. I just will not spend my money on this series going forward, you know? Like, I did not purchase Broken Dove. I renting from the library. Is that what I call it now? I borrowed it from Libby. And yeah, I thought it was like fine. I spent, 8 hours with it. So I spent a good chunk with this book. And it was a fine time. Did not excite me though. The next thing did excite me. And honestly, this is when it all really began. I read, I believe, on NetGalley because I'm auto approved for a publisher. I'm so sorry I don't remember their name, but basically they just do graphic novels. And so I have access to plenty of graphic novels, which really excite me. So the first one I picked up was Ladies of the Night. This is by Fiona Marchbank. And holy crap, so cute. It's medieval. It's all women. It's sapphics. It's your classic knights who joust and do competitions and have squires in training to also then become knights. It was very wholesome. I feel like it had a very strong arc, beginning and end. Like, it followed a storyline. I fear sometimes graphic novels, because there's so few pages, it's really hard to fit a proper full story into them. And we'll talk about that with a future graphic novel coming up. But I rather enjoyed Ladies of the Night very much. I love the art style. I really enjoyed the characters and like the naming convention and like the little like beef. I really hope that this gets enough buzz that they will continue and make it into a series. And there was like, enough tease and open-endedness that they could continue, but it could also just be a standalone. But I really do hope that it'll continue as a series because I just really like these characters. They're so much fun. And I got like a really, like, there's rivalry and it's got like that reality TV aspect where it's like you go interview before the jousting and oh, it's so fun. But like also again heartwarming because you've got a sapphic couple and their new squire, and she's like the squires don't like her horse and she freaks people out. She's very like tough and blunt about things, and she really has to go on a character journey through this because of this new squire that her wife brought into their lives, and it's just precious in so many ways. I really liked a lot of aspects to this. I have no notes, to be honest. It was just incredible. Following that was an audiobook of Women Living Deliciously. This is by an artist named Florence Given, who I have never heard of prior to this book. I do not follow their Instagram art, their journey, their feminist, what have yous. I'm not involved. I have no parasocial relationship, which I do think a lot of people enjoying this are fans of Florence, which is totally fine. I totally get it. It's hard to separate the art from the artist when they're alive. With that said, this self-help book, I have been waiting months, if not a year, to get on Libby. It's been one of my longest holds. So imagine my surprise when I'm thoroughly disappointed with this entire experience. I did not walk away gaining anything from this self-help book that's supposed to uplift us. And the main takeaways is put your phone down, touch grass, go outside, go on a walk, go on a hot girl walk, and put your damn phone down. I need a little bit more in my help books. And maybe it's because I, am not your typical person. How to Keep House While Drowning by Casey Davis. This is the best self-help book I have ever read in my entire life. It's tiny. It is written with the purpose of people with autism and ADHD reading this, and gives you the spark notes at the beginning to be like, hey, I understand that sitting down to read this might be difficult. Here's like the main takeaways, but then also here's like a better way to read it. It's laid out in a way that is very helpful for attention spans and just overall ADHD tips. This is the best book. I try to read it like every couple of years to remind myself because it's very easy to forget things, but this is like so important to me. And I have not been able to find any self-help book that can reach this level of like actual tips and tricks. Nothing has been ever so helpful to me like that one. And this one just pissed me off. Florence narrates the book, which is fine. It feels juvenile. It felt like it's for really young teens, maybe college students that like are figuring stuff out. And I think this definitely has an audience, and I think the people that it hits and reaches that has an impact on them like is fantastic, and I'm so happy for them. It was not that experience for me. I genuinely could have DNF this and I would have been the same person. Like, I had zero takeaways from this. I did not find the humor to be super funny. I have no issue with people cursing in their books, like whatever, do what you wish. But I saw a lot of reviews really upset with how many F-bombs were dropped, and it's like, she's an adult, it's fine. But warning if you are interested in it. I just really wanted more from this. I feel like the feminism was very like one note. There was no nuance to it. It didn't go very deep. I don't know. I think I'm maybe a little bit too old for this type of self-help. Maybe I just am a little bit too self-aware and knowledgeable. It's hard to give me tips that I don't already know. So, anywho. I did not rate this. I just felt meh towards it, though. It's not one that I recommend you go out and read. How to Keep House While Drowning. Fantastic. The next 5 books were all my finishing the Fallen series, so we can skip all over those, which is great. But if you're interested, again, the vlog. Next, I read my audiobook ARC. I'm really, I'm so excited. Vanessa, Reading with Dr. B, is hosting ARC August. I cannot wait. I have a decent amount of NetGalley things that I would really like to get through, as well as my Libro ALC's advanced listening copies that I just want to make a dent in them. I really want to make progress and feel like I'm accomplishing things, and I'm not just like taking for granted these opportunities, even though there are a few. I have 10 NetGalley books right now, which is more than I've had all year. So I would like to prioritize them, and I'm very excited for that. But I've started reading some NetGalleys in the month of June, and the first one that I listened to was The Labyrinth of Waking Dreams. This is by Michelle Quickie. How do I want to talk about this? I want to tell you that I went into this with the absolute wrong expectations that I had put onto the story. And because of that, I was underwhelmed. And that's my fault. That is not the book's fault. I don't think the book is bad. I thought this was going to be like a horror. I was picturing something like, this young adult book that I read a while ago, where they're like in a corn maze and they're kind of getting lost, and it's a spooky horror. I was picturing something a little bit more like that. I thought it was going to be a young adult horror set in a labyrinth. This is full fantasy, baby. Like, you've got fae and everything. Like, it was so far from what I was expecting it to be that it was really hard for me to like detach what I was hoping for. I thought it had some interesting takes. I, again, really liked the characters and the queer representation. It just unfortunately did not hit super hard for me, which I try to blame myself more often than I do a book for not liking it, not enjoying it, something being wrong with it. If I listen to an audiobook, I'm like, surely it's me that's the problem because I'm just not in the mood for them. When actuality, it's probably I just didn't like the book. But I hate not liking books so much that I'm like, I have to be the reason. I have to be at fault. But I just recently read a young adult horror that I adored. So I don't know. I just think this was a fine book. Okay, the next one, oh no, I have 2 more. I have 2 books to talk about before we can get to the exciting one. Okay, so I read What Feasts at Night. This is the sequel to What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. Loved What Moves the Dead. It's an Edgar Allan Poe retelling, expansion, I would say. And just like very interesting exploration of mycelium and fungi possession. It's so dope. But What Feasts at Night is also a ghost story at like a haunted historical manor. There's possession, and it's, it holds you captive in your dreams and tries to take you. I think the concept is very cool. I thought the setup was very long. I don't mind Alex as a character, but I did not feel like I learned anything further about them. This definitely wasn't like Alex on a character journey trying to learn anything. It was really just Alex experiencing another spooky instance. I do think, crazy enough, I will probably read the third book just to like finish, like wrap up the series and say like, yeah, I did that. Cool concepts. Luckily it's a short novella, but I just wanted more action and sooner. I think it just needed to happen quicker than it did. And then I followed that up with Killer on the Road by Stephen Graham Jones. I was super late to this. I read The Babysitter Lives, back when it was a Scribd exclusive, audiobook exclusive, a long while ago. I think probably 22 or 23. And literally the book club picked Killer on the Road and The Babysitter Lives because it became like a flipped book situation. And I was like, dope. I'm gonna do it because it's the book club, whatever. And I did not have access to Killer on the Road in time. I finally got my hold in from Libby so many months later. And I liked the live show discussion. I thought the book was fine. I kind of wish that we had more. I don't know, maybe, I don't know if I want it to be longer. I don't know how I feel. This is basically about a serial killer and a group of friends. And I really like the group of friends. I really liked the girls. Like there's two sisters and then like their friends and they're in a sticky little situation. I don't know. I just didn't feel this one was his best book. I just kind of felt like meant towards it, but I also think that he experiments a lot more with his shorter stuff. The Babysitter Lives is so kooky. The Amazon original Indigo Room, I couldn't tell you what that was about or what happened. Like the weirdest 30 pages that I will never be able to explain to another human. I just don't get it. And so I think he kind of experiments with his shorter stuff. And so it's, pretty common for them to be hit or miss. I really want to pick up mapping the interiors at some point. I have Buffalo Hunter still in my cart. Keep yelling at me. I will finish it eventually. I really want to say that like he's a favorite author and I love him because I keep picking him up and I really enjoy the discussions that we have around his books. But it's hit or miss on whether I really like the book or not. I think that the discussions and the memories of reading it for book clubs and stuff kind of influenced me to like having fond feelings. But there's just some that I'm like, towards. And I think this is one that I was like, it was fine. I think it did what it set out to do. It just didn't have the biggest hook for me. But now we can move on to my 5-star of the month, Love Bites Volume 1. Oh my god. Now, for you out there who are having a good time because Heartstopper Volume 6 is out and the movie is soon to come out and we're all experiencing this together in live time. If you have a Heartstopper hangover and you want something to cure it and you also want something maybe a little fantastical, might I recommend you Love Bites. It's truly Heartstopper, but a vampire and a werewolf. Like, incredible. I don't know what it was. I was laughing out loud. I wanted to cry at one point. I was swooning over the characters. I immediately ran to Webtoons to like start reading it there. Once I finished the first volume, I was like, well, I need to know what happens next. And I'm gonna be honest, I haven't finished it. I'll be honest, I haven't. Because Webtoons lock them, so like, you have to watch ads to get the coins so that you can open it, and it's just a little bit too much. Like, I can only read a chapter a day because I don't pay for coins. Sorry, Webtoons, you ain't getting my money. So it's just disappointing. So it's like, now I have to wait to really finish it. I can't binge it, and it's disappointing. I understand why you would put it behind the paywall, because obviously you want people to purchase the physical graphic novel that's, I think, now out, or out very soon. But I don't want to have to wait to watch ads once a day to finish the series. Like, it's complete. It's fine. I really enjoy this. It's basically two boys, mortal enemies, a vampire and a werewolf, who kind of become friendly because of a mutual friend romantically involved. And we are finding out about our queer identities in this high school, and also like, the paranormal and what it means to have your turning when you turn 18, and like having a best friend who's human, and like the absolute danger that they're constantly in, and like the will they won't they of it. Like, what does it mean? The bad communication. It's just something about it really brought me back to how I felt reading Heartstopper. Anyway, yes, my camera battery died. So I don't remember what I was saying about Love Bites, but it was very good. I gave it 5 stars. I felt many, many emotions reading it, and I highly recommend it. The next arc I read was To Dance the Moon and Stars. This one has maybe some of the most gorgeous art. It's so pretty. It's like a painting on every page. It's just absolutely stunning. And I very much enjoyed looking at this. It was a beautiful experience to have. The story, on the other hand, had a very long setup, which I actually really enjoyed the setup. I really liked spending our time with these characters and getting to know like the world and like their day-to-day and this festival that was happening. A lot of it I really liked at the beginning. And then we get to the lore and the conflict and the ending, and it all happened so fast. Like, you've got the first like 150 pages or whatever being this slow setup of like getting to know everything. And then you've got the next like 75 pages of figuring stuff out and trying to solve like the mystery of it all and just like learning about what's going on. And then it crams everything into like the last whatever pages. And there was a lot of pacing errors that I just struggled with, that I was like, this needed to be longer or balanced differently, because it's such a good story. It's so fascinating. Dance is outlawed because that's what the gods have decided. And if you were to dance, you could, bring absolute horrors onto your kingdom. She is not she's not royalty. She's like a priest. She can commune with the gods, and she's, taking up the mantle for her grandma. And she has this really sweet romance with her childhood friend who had gone away for a while and just happens to be the prince. It did give me a lot of like Aladdin vibes, like Jasmine and Aladdin kind of energy that I really liked. Again, it was just like it all came down to the pacing. I wish there was a little bit more time to explain why dancing was outlawed and like why the events happened the way that they did. I just wanted a little bit more. A little more. I think it could have benefited from being longer or rebalanced so that the pacing felt a little bit more smooth. But other than that, like, again, characters were great. The art style's stunning. I do recommend it. I don't want to say, like, don't go out and purchase it because, again, the art style is so pretty that I think it's worth reading. But I don't think it'll be the most satisfying of reading. But I think a lot of people will probably enjoy it. Next graphic novel that I read was Rebus, Born and Reborn. This is by Italian, I should have known. This is by an Italian author, Irene Marcheni. I took Italian. I should be able to pronounce this last name. I'm sorry, Irene. This was a translated graphic novel. Rebus, Born and Reborn is beautiful. It's so good. It's genuinely such a gorgeous story. I teared up. I wanted to sob. Basically, this is a story about a witch and her friend getting reborn as a child after being burned at the stake for being albino and being othered and different and being a witch and all these fun little spooky, you can't have that back in the day type situations and people, and just you're like gutted from the beginning. And then you read and you just see like the absolute pain that this small child has to go through because they were born different and society just like deeming them evil and bad and like wanting nothing to do with them and like wanting to send them away. And so instead, Rebus runs away from her father and finds this very nice wood witch. The art style is absolutely gorgeous. I thought the story was well balanced. I genuinely loved these characters so deeply. I was so fascinated in their journey and just like learning how to be a witch and taking care of the land and the animals and like dancing around a bonfire, but also like still having relationships with siblings and balancing that with like society deeming you as unfit to live, really. And just like the whiplash of emotions that I felt from this, it was so gorgeous. If you're gonna read any of these graphic novels, this is the one that I do truly recommend. The next one I don't have a lot to say. I listened to The Living Tarot by T. Susan Chang because it was an audiobook hold on Libby. I could not really spend a lot of time with it, but the tarot readathon was happening, hosted by Noelle and Deja. And so, of course, I want to learn a little bit more about tarot. I have a tarot card deck. I find it fascinating. As somebody who is not raised religious and is not religious, I still have like a slight fear of using tarot cards. My last partner, Christian, and like tarot was deemed devil's work. And I think just because of like society, I'm like, I get a little hesitant where I'm like, well, I'll play with them for a TBR game, but I'm not going to go out of my way to like do a reading for myself and like understand what it means, because then I'm inviting the devil in. The devil I don't believe in. Brains are silly that way, huh? But I thought that this was good. I think that if I had been able to like really spend time with each chapter and like read this over months, really exploring tarot and the meaning and like sitting down and journaling and writing the stories, I think it would have hit a little bit harder. I don't think it's bad. If you are interested, if you're a beginner with tarot or you're wanting, you know, some inspiration on like how to read things and just like, you know, interpret to yourself, yeah, it's very interesting. She also talked about like how in some states it's illegal to give tarot readings. And if you do, you have to say like it's for entertainment purposes, and sometimes charging is weird, and like some banks won't accept you. Like they see it as like the weed industry. It was this it's such a bizarre thing to be like. I know that I was just joking about like how I'm scared to invite the devil into my home, but like the bank doesn't want to bank with fortune tellers. Weird. That's weird. The next audiobook I listened to was Wicked Onyx. This is by Debbie Cassidy, who I guess writes a lot of paranormal poly romances, which really intrigues me. I did not know this about Debbie Cassidy before, like whilst I was reading it, but when I got to read reviews, I learned that this author really likes polyamorous exploration. And if not poly, then why choose? And so a lot of us are theorizing if this book is setting up a why choose for the rest of the series. This does not have a whole lot of romance really going on. It's like a super slow burn. I guess for right now, you would consider it a love triangle. You don't really know which direction she could go, but at its heart, we are set in a school, a magical school with a lot of different fantasy types, which is my personal favorite. I've not read Zodiac Academy, but I can relate to it being similar in the sense of you've got shifters, you've got sirens, you've got wolves, and that is a shifter, and vampires. Like you've got the wide spectrum of fantasy types, which I personally really enjoy. I love how wide and vast that feels in a story. Something I really enjoy in fantasy, especially if you're going to set it out of school. I just think that's great. I know I really should read Zodiac Academy. I just don't like bully romances, so I'm like worried about it. I'm nervous, but I will probably get to it at some point. They're chunky and it's a long series, so it's low on the priorities. But Wicked Onyx is basically following a young girl who goes to this school and is hoping to find answers to a mystery and like why people be dying, and you know, your typical setup. I wouldn't say that it's like the most plot focused, but it's also not very romance focused. So it's kind of an interesting, like you're kind of just exploring the world. It very much is a setup book for a series. Like you're not getting the full picture right away. It's not a good standalone book, but I really liked it. I actually had a really good time with it overall. I thought it was just interesting. Well done. I'm bummed that I have to wait so long until I can read the sequel, but overall, like I really did enjoy it. I really like the characters. I was fascinated with everything. Again, I just really like the world. I wouldn't say that it was super strong world building or a super strong mystery or super strong romance, but something about it just kind of kept me hooked and kept me wanting to read. Drink your water, guys. It's hot outside. So yeah, I really enjoyed Wicked Onyx overall. I am worried that I will forget a lot of it by the time the next book comes around. Like whenever the sequel comes out, I am scared that I will have forgotten most things, especially because it took me far too long to realize the two love interests were not the same man, which, you know, is my problem because I was listening to the audiobook. I think when the sequel comes out, I would try to reread Wicked Onyx with a tandem read rather than just the audiobook so that I can really absorb everything, and who knows, maybe I would like it even more than I did, and then set myself up for success with the next book that comes out. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy it. I do recommend it. It's fun. The next thing I read was another novella, a horror novella, Muneka by Cynthia Gomez. This is a translated horror novel about women, I guess you could say revenge, and a possession of a doll. It's very interesting. I really don't know how to talk about this. Kayla has teased that this is a potential for the Literally Dead Book Club next year, so 2027. I don't know if I want to wait that long for people to have a discussion about it, but I really want to talk about it with people and like hear what they think and what they have to say about it, because it's just one of those books that I'm like, it's kind of kooky in premise, but like overall well executed. I wouldn't say that I loved it. It's not like a favorite book by any means. I did enjoy my time with it. It kind of reminded me of the spider one, the spider book, the spider sapphic lesbian romances. Why can I not remember the name of books today? It's on screen. You know what I'm talking about by now. They kind of, but not too bold. It came to me. I just remember the blue spider with the pink, gorgeous cover design. Anyways, they're not at all the same, but probably because they're both Latina translations that like I probably just classify them together in my brain. Plus they're also, you know, equally sapphic horror novellas. I do think that's kind of where it ends, but I do like them both for different reasons. Last graphic novel that I read was The Grey and the Gallant. I read probably the most early ARC advanced reader copy I've ever been given. Half of the book was not complete. It was a lot of, like, you got the full dialogue, so you knew the story from start to finish, which I do think was pretty solid, but you only got sketches in some of the parts. I got really excited when I would continue on, and like 10 pages later, we'd come back to like a full spread of full color with everything going on. I really liked the excitement that I got when that happened, but it's still cool to see like the process of mapping out what you want your graphic novel to be. I thought it was pretty interesting to see. Obviously, by the time it comes out in 2027, it'll be complete and finished and it'll have full color and everything. So I am excited to see, you know, the final product and like how it might change and also just like what it's gonna look like. But it's an interesting premise. It's kind of like I am not a history person. I am not good at history or telling you when things happened. My history classes in school honestly were not that great or very like far reaching. So I call everything medieval, and I don't really know if that's always accurate, but like they've got swords and knights and castles and the whole shebang. This one is following squires of knights who are like in training and are lightly part of the guard. And then we have a princess. This is also a queer graphic novel, and we're following kind of these three newly friends as they come across a spaceship and a dead alien in the forest, and what that means, and this new artifact that they have, and kind of this plot against the king. There was a lot that was going on, but it was very engaging the whole time. And then you also have like these characters who have like tiffs with each other and an arranged marriage perhaps, and there's just like so much going on. But I think, again, it was very well paced, and I really liked the characters. There were times that I laughed out loud, which is kind of all I ever ask for when I read a graphic novel, is just to feel something. Because again, you're only getting so much time with a graphic novel. Like, they're significantly shorter and there's way less like words on the page. It's just like seeing the pictures, which is really nice. But yeah, I overall did enjoy it. It's not my favorite. I would not like widely recommend, be like, you have to read it, but it was definitely cute and I did enjoy it overall. And I had fun with it. So that's all that really matters. I thought it was really fun to like mix the like historical with a sci-fi element to it. And then I listened to a book that I don't super want to go hard on or talk about too much, but I got my hands on The Secret World of Briar Rose by Cindy Pham, and I thought it was fine. So Cindy Pham is with Cindy here on BookTube. Therefore, it's hard to give, you know, proper critiques of a book when they have a pretty large fan base. And you'll see a lot of the 5-star reviews being like, I love Cindy, and I haven't read this yet, but I'm giving it 5 stars because I love Cindy and I'm gonna read it, and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's great. I think, like I said earlier, it's near impossible to separate art from the artist when the artist is alive. And it's very hard not to read this book and not think that with Cindy wrote it the whole time. I am not generally the type of person that subscribes to parasocial relationships. There are far and few between that I feel that deeply, like, that I care so deeply for. I can enjoy somebody's content without caring so deeply for their personal life. It's cool to know more about them, and there are certain people that I will obsess over for a period of time, and I will binge all of their content, and I'll have like a great time. Currently, if you're wanting to know what my obsession is, it's Maya Higa and the Alveus Animal Sanctuary. That's my current obsession, and eventually that will pass and I'll move on to something else. That's just kind of how my brain works, is like I latch onto things and I care, and then I become like a normal fan again. But like, even to that extent, I'm not commenting on all of their stuff. I am, you know, not engaging beyond like watching their content. And so I have a hard time wanting to pick up a book like The Secret World of Briar Rose and then just say that it's good because they're a fellow booktuber. But I also want to see Cindy like succeed, and I want to see growth and like more opportunities come out from this. And like, it's just, it's hard to balance of like genuine critique of just like what didn't work for me, and also like trying to be a peacekeeper in a way, because like Cindy's huge. Cindy has so many fans, and I don't want to like upset people because like I'm going after their favorite or whatever. But I had a lot of issues with this book, unfortunately. I don't think it's bad. I think if you are in the age demographic and this book meets you where you're at and it's something that you need to hear, I think this book can do a lot of good for people. I'm not a teenager dealing with depression or suicidal thoughts and tendencies, and so I don't really have the same ties and connection to these characters as maybe a younger reader might, but also it is, you know, a heavy topic that do be warned if you're going to pick it up that it does deal with heavy things. And I think the reason I struggle with this so much is because it's dealing with heavy things while also trying to have purple prose and be vibe heavy, which lacked a lot of explanation and world building and caused a bit of confusion. And sometimes the metaphors were a little bit too outlandish for me to follow. And normally I am queen of vibes. I love Caraval by Stephanie Garber. So obviously I like my purple prose and my wacky metaphors that don't really make sense. And it's not something that I really latch onto and need to be coherent at all times. But there were some in here that I just like couldn't wrap my head around. And the world building again kind of confused me and it was just lacking stuff, and I really did not like any of these characters. The only one that I enjoyed was Malison, which was like the bad guy. Dope character. Truly, if we just had this book, but it was Malison's perspective and like their journey and exploration, maybe I would have liked it more. I just did not care about either of these characters. We are going back and forth between Sleeping Beauty and a teenager who falls through a dream realm, and both of them are dealing with things that I did not care about, did not like, did not enjoy at all. Like, I just thought they were so boring to follow. I'm sorry. I didn't care about anything that would happen to them. I did not care about the sister and the reveals and Sleeping Beauty's, like, situation of running away into her dreams and, like, the impacts that had on everybody. I genuinely was just like so apathetic towards this entire experience. I think the vibes were cool and definitely were like playing off different things, like obviously Sleeping Beauty, but also at times kind of had like an Alice in Wonderland feel to it, just being in that dream state. I think the Sunflower Maze was so cool. I think the cover is stunning. I don't think it's a bad book, but it did not resonate with me. Please go out and read the book. Please go support Cindy if you're a fan, if you're interested in it. Don't take my word as law. But unfortunately, yeah, I did not super vibe with this. Would I pick up a book from Cindy Pham in the future? Maybe, if the premise sounded interesting enough. I don't think that this was a retelling that worked for me, but I do generally like retellings. I kind of just want, I don't know, something different. So depending on what Sandy comes out with next, I may or may not pick it up, but I am glad that I at least got to experience this. If you like this, I am so happy that you did, and I'm so sorry that I did not. I genuinely do not like being a hater, and I just, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm just gonna, after this, we're never gonna talk about it again. We're gonna pretend that I didn't read it, just to like, not have to feel bad about it, because it hits different when you dislike a book by somebody you share a community with, than like an author who you have no tie to, and you're not. It's hard because Cindy is in the review space, but is now an author, and so it kind of blurs the lines a little bit, and I don't want to upset anybody. Okay. Anyways, I apologize. Let's talk about some Alien Cowboys. I read Smitten by the Alien Saloon Owner. This was Riven's book. Riven is one of 3 in Warden Hallam's area. All of these words mean nothing to you if you've not watched any of my wrap-ups and you don't know anything about the Married to the Alien Cowboys Colony Mail Order Bride program book series by Ursa Dax. Aaliyah, Richie, and I have been reading these for the 4Beast Book Club monthly, and we are having truly an incredible time. We are reading Longing for the Alien Lawman, which we're all not excited for, and that's going to be the last book until like October that we can read, because we're caught up on the series, which is like painful, but we're very excited. We're having a great time. This, I want to say, is maybe for sure in my top 3, which is really exciting. I really enjoyed Riven, and I really enjoyed, her name is not Salone. What's her name? Whoa, how embarrassing. The fact that her name is not in the synopsis is really annoying. We are following an artist whose father had passed away, and her job at the factory is not going well because men suck. And so she decides that she's going to participate in this mail order bride program for the Alien Cowboys on Xener Planar 1. And she gets to meet Riven because she's staying in his saloon because she's got horrible migraines and just kind of needed a place to stay. And it is a little bit annoying that, like, you have the two disabled characters in this entire world matching up together, but he understands her and he cares so deeply and is just, like, such a sweetheart. I loved Riven deeply, and he obviously owns the saloon. He had lost his hand in we'll call it a horse accident for you guys to understand, and basically was no longer able to keep up a ranch the same way as his fellow prisoners. And therefore, he got the opportunity to, like, run the saloon. And there's not a lot of, like, people visiting. There's no tourism or anything. But he's able to, you know, provide food and drinks and still has, like, a smaller ranch. And I just loved these characters so much. They cared so much for each other so quickly, but, like, it was still a slow bond of, like, becoming friends and getting to know each other. So there was, like, that courting almost. It was just so perfect and cute. It was just, it was a delight. I really liked it. It's definitely, I do think it's my second favorite in the series. I really do. I don't think it tops Oaken exactly, but I do think Riven's pretty up there, and I really liked everything this one had to offer. It was just so cute and sweet and very, like, a perfect December book if you're wanting to, you know, dabble with the series a little bit. I do think you could probably pick up this one and kind of just, like, ease into it. It explains enough, you get to know enough. It was a good time. I really liked it. And then we have the last book. Can we talk about it before my camera overheats? If you want to know spoilery full thoughts about this one, we read it for the book club live, so I will have the live show linked if you want to hear, like, full thoughts for both of these books. But we read Herculine for our, like, queer horror pick of June for Pride Month. The answer was no. I could not talk fast enough before my camera overheated. Anyhow, Herculine was the last book that I read, and I do not widely recommend this. I don't think that this is going to work for a lot of people, and I think there's a lot of good to it, but also, like, a lot of issues with it. But I just need to, like, blanket statement say, like, this is such a queer story. It is full of a queer cast of characters. Its lingo is unapologetically queer, and if you don't understand something, you have to go out of your way to look it up and, like, learn. It doesn't spoon feed you all of your answers. It's just, it is how it would be, how it is in the world. And I do really appreciate that for just, like, it being what it is. But I did not love the writing style a whole lot, and I kind of had struggles with that. And although it's an interesting premise of trans woman kind of at a loss in life, unsure what to do next, decides to join love of their life, ex-girlfriend, at an all-trans commune, cult if you will, and basically the weird happenings that are going on, and perhaps a similar to Andrew Joseph White's You Weren't Meant to Be Human worm demon. And just, you know, there's obviously a lot more that goes on, a lot of depth. I don't want to give too much away, though, because I don't feel like the synopsis really tells you a whole lot either. Struggle to have fond feelings towards this, because, like, yes, it was fun to read with my friends and talk about it. It is ultimately a book with a very unsatisfying ending, and a writing style that is not personally my favorite. It is very stream of consciousness, which is, like, not something that always works for me. And who would have thought that this book would have had pregnancy in it? There's just, like, there's just big joke of 2026 being the year that Sam reads every pregnant horror story known to man. I cannot escape it. We read this following the month prior, May, where we had read a cowboy romance with baby. It's fine. It's fine. It's funny at this point. Like, I don't genuinely, like, take it. It's not, like, an actual anger. Like, I can read books with pregnancy. It's fine. But definitely look into trigger warnings for this one. There's some, brutal stuff that happens, especially. I don't remember what the chapter was called, but Richie literally texted us and was like, hey, pals, I'll tell you what happens. You might not want to read it. Luckily, at that point, I had just switched to the audio only, so I was able to kind of, like, dissociate half through. But yeah, interesting. I think this had a lot of potential. I think if it was a slightly less stream of consciousness writing style, and if the ending was a little bit more satisfying and came around a little bit better, I think this would have been a really big hit for the book club. I think we kind of all walked away with it feeling pretty, like, good, but not great. I don't think it quite hit 4-star mark for me. I did enjoy my time with it, though, and, like, overall was pleased by it. Like, there's just, like, a lot to it that I had fun with, but a lot of the critiques that we read were the absolute refusal of there being a drug issue, which, like, hey, I hate to break it to you, trans people do drugs, and obviously minorities in general are probably going to self-medicate. Society sucks sometimes. I hate to break it to you. Face reality, I suppose. a lot of people had issues with that. And honestly, it's funny, less people were, you know, being bigoted and like weird about the trans thing as they were like, why is she using ket so much? It's like, okay, well, that's just life. Sorry. It's not like it's telling you to do drugs. So that was just like a really weird critique that a lot of people seem to have towards this book, which I think is a bit silly, but whatever. I think that was like the main critique that I really saw. But I would say that I agreed that the story kind of got a little bit lost in the sauce along the way, and just the ending really made this fall flat. But again, if you want like full spoilery thoughts, please go watch the live show where we talk about it further. I definitely would pick up from this author again in the future. I want to say, let me fact check myself. Yes, this was their debut novel, so I am interested to see where Grace Byron goes from here, like what they have next in store. Ended walking away feeling kind of all right towards it. But again, that's all I'm going to say for that. That leaves us at the end of our video. That is everything that I ended up reading in the month of June. I'm so excited to talk about some of my reads for July already. Like, I'm just like itching to talk about some of them because they were just so good. And they weren't in videos, so I just have to wait, which is so unfortunate, but it's fine. Like I said, I'm on track to read too many books in the month of July. So we're going to condense the wrap up because I'm not going to talk about the books that I'm vlogging, which will be most of them. So that'll work out fine. But just know, I cannot wait to talk to you about all of the July books, and it will come to you before middle of August, I swear. I'm not usually this late on my wrap-ups. But with all that said, I think that is everything that I have for you guys. Let me know how your reading month had gone, how Pride went for you. Did you read a lot of queer books? Are you still reading a lot of queer books? That's it from me today. I hope that you had fun listening to some of these books, and let me know if you're interested in any of them or what your favorite read from the month was. I'm very interested to know. I always like adding books to the never-ending TBR. So anyways, all that said and done, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video very soon. Bye-bye!